Ngozi did her incantations with her members, with Amaka's image appearing in a huge mirror in front of them. Ngozi held a knife, chanting and calling out Amaka's name, while the other members continued the incantations. Just as Ngozi was about to strike Amaka's image on the mirror, a sudden spark saturated the coven. It was a very sunny day. The sun was very scorching and unbearable. Amaka had just come back from an interview, feeling depressed as always. It seemed as though nothing was working. She had written countless of interview tests and sent her CVs to different companies, but none of the companies replied her mail and the test. She wondered, I did so well writing those tests. Why is it that they don't always call back? Is something wrong with me that I don't know of? Or am I cursed? Everything I do is not working. I honestly need this job. Otherwise, how will I pay this rent? Amaka pondered, feeling down. The landlord had come to the house that week, requesting for his rent, which was a month's due. And Amaka had made countless promises to the landlord to give her some time. The following day, she went to the church for counseling. When she got there, she met the pastor, and she told him what she had been going through. He smiled. Amaka looked at the pastor, wondering why he smiled after all she said to him. Then she said, Pastor, I am confused. Why are you smiling with all I had just told you? The pastor looked at her and said, Amaka, all of these are just series of tests. How strong is your faith in the Lord? Do you believe that God has plans for you? Amaka was shocked and surprised. She didn't understand what he meant. She kept wondering, how could all this be a test? I have always been active in church. Amaka is one of the best choristers in church. Her voice can lift up anyone who is going through situations in life. Most times, when she sings, members of the church would fall under anointing. Those that were sick would receive healing. That night, she kept asking God, why are all this happening? She had lost all hope. Amaka's friend, Ngozi, came visiting that night. She saw Amaka in a very devastating state. Amaka, she called out, why are you like this? You need to be strong and stop all this that you are doing. Amaka looked at Ngozi as tears dropped down her face. There is nothing left for me. I am cursed. My Father in heaven has abandoned me after all my service. She wept her eyes out all night, making herself feel worthless. Amaka never knew that the cause of her problems and misfortune came from no other one but her best friend, Ngozi. Ngozi was one of an evil secret cult, and she had vowed with her members that she would make Amaka suffer and denounce her God. That night, when she came to Amaka's house, just after Amaka had slept, Ngozi's spirit left her as she went to her evil secret cult, taking with her Ngozi's jewelries to do some incantations so that Amaka would be ruined each passing day. The members gathered and they did all the incantations and went back to their body one by one. The next morning, when Amaka woke up, she had a strange dream. It seemed so unclear to her. Amaka took it upon herself to fast and pray for 7 days, asking God for his mercies. When she told Ngozi of what she had planned to do. Ngozi tried convincing her that it was pointless. She kept reminding her of her service in church. Why do you need to fast in Amaka? Haven't you done enough? See, I have a solution to all your problems. Just agree that you will follow me tomorrow and everything will be solved. Amaka looked at Ngozi with so much happiness and relief. Are you for real? You mean all these problems I am going through will end? Yes, they will vanish like they never came, Ngozi said. Ngozi's words echoed in Amaka's head as she kept thinking. Suddenly, she heard a small voice in her head saying, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." She knew that that voice couldn't just be her thoughts. So she yelled out, "Please leave. I need to be alone," she said to Ngozi. Ngozi looked at her in shock and said, "What did you just say?" Amaka held Ngozi's hand and walked towards her door saying, "Please leave. I need to be alone." Ngozi looked at Amaka and said, "You are sick. Look at this one. This worthless fellow I am trying to help. Anyways, you know where to find me when you are completely ruined," she hissed and left. Amaka shut her door. She knelt down, asking God for mercy. That day, she prayed like never before and fasted. Days passed, and it was the 7th day. Ngozi had waited for Amaka to call her, but Amaka was busy praying. That night, Ngozi left her body as usual to her evil secret court. She made up her mind to finish up Amaka since she had refused to call her. As they all gathered and did their incantations, Amaka was praying, determined for change in her life. She prayed like never before. As Ngozi did her incantations with her members, with Amaka's image appearing in a huge mirror in front of them, Ngozi held a knife, chanting and calling out Amaka's name, while the other members continued the incantations. Just as Ngozi was about to strike Amaka's image on the mirror, a sudden spark saturated the coven as they all fell and disappeared. Ngozi went back to her body, paralyzed from the sudden spark that had occurred in their evil coven. Amaka, on the other hand, felt a huge relief after praying, a satisfaction that she had never felt before. The next morning, Amaka got a call from one of the companies she applied for work. She picked up her phone and answered, "This is Noye from Global Tech Industry. I am calling to inform you that your application has been approved and you are to resume work on Monday." Amaka was thrilled. Is this a dream? Oh my God. She knelt down and she kept thanking God. That same day, Amaka still got series of calls from those same companies she had applied for work. Amaka got a job and she was given accommodation and a car. She was living her dream. Ngozi, on the other hand, was on her bed. Her body was still paralyzed. She managed to write a note to Amaka, pending when Amaka comes to visit her. After which the note was beside the bed, as her hands on it. Ngozi couldn't hold it any longer, as she gave up. One day, Amaka decided to visit her. As she got to her house, she opened the door, and she perceived a terrible smell as she saw Ngozi laying lifeless on her bed with a note and a pen. She quickly ran to the nearest station and called for help. When they got to Ngozi's house, it was confirmed that Ngozi was dead. Amaka picked up the notes and read. She opened her mouth as tears dripped down, and she called out, "Ngozi, how could you? I thought you were my friend. How could you do this?" Amaka dropped the note as she left crying. When she stepped out, she looked towards the sky. Her life has been a phase. She suffered in the past, thinking she was cursed, not knowing that her friend was the reason behind her past suffering. The story highlights friendship and warns about how you trust friends, because even the closest of friends could be your greatest enemy. So it is very important to know the kind of friends you mingle with and know what you say to them. And also be careful of how close you are to them, because you never know. They could just be the reason to your sufferings. If you enjoyed this story, kindly give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe if you are new to this channel. Until then, I'll see you in my next story.